here's another one of those weird twists and turns that your life goes through. This is a painting that I had commissioned. Um, this, I, well, just to give you some background, I was hanging out with a group of people in Rochester that were basically bohemians. They were artists, they were poets, they were street musicians, they were fringe dwellers. They were just living on the edge of society and living life the way they wanted to live it. Well, this guy, Tom Mercer, um, he was always sketching and drawing, and this is a painting that I actually commissioned him to do because since I have artists in my family, I really love to have original art on my walls, and so he was a very unrecognized artist, and I said, just whatever subject matter you would like to do, um, just I would love to have a painting by you. So so I didn't see it until he was done with it, and then when he gave it to me, my first reaction was, "It's not finished." And he said, "Yes, it is." Well, from my artist point of view, I was thinking of symmetry and balance and stuff like that. But what was amazing about this painting is it foretold his death because he was murdered in 1982. And the elements are he was black. He was just this amazing guy. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he was the oldest of either 4 or 5 boys. And he had just gotten sober. He had finally gotten to the point in his life where he was, just pulling himself out of the haze that he'd been living in for who knows how long. But, I'm sure part of it had to do with going to Vietnam and all that. But when he was murdered, he was on the phone, and it was a phone booth. And he lived in a neighborhood that was less than desirable, let's say. And he was talking to his mother, who's in North Carolina. And he lived with his dad, and he took care of his little brothers. So while he was on the phone, this drunk guy walked up to him and accused him of stealing his bottle of gin. And Tom was saying, "Hey man, I don't know, I don't know anything about your bottle of gin." So, and this is the story I heard. I was actually in Paris when this happened, and I'm not even sure if he ever got the postcard that I sent him. So the guy came back with a gun, and he shot him. He shot him in the gut. And Tom, I heard this is one of the most painful ways to die, is to be shot in your gut. And he falls down, and it took 45 minutes for the rescue squad to come, the ambulance. And he was dead. By the time they got there, he had died of this gruesome, horrible, painful death. So this is like the fires of hell, the pearly gates, and this I'm not sure, but it looks to me like spilt milk. And so I had been carrying this painting around. I didn't even get it framed for a couple of years. I just, hung it on a nail on the wall. And then finally, I was going through this phase where I was getting all my miscellaneous artwork framed. And, actually, this turned out to be a beautiful frame because, it matches some of the colors in there. And it's kind of hard to see the frame because my sister took this picture. Because with my downsizing, I said, you know, this is one of the things I'm gonna take it over to the SPCA rummage sale. I've enjoyed it all these years, and it's time for me just to like move on. And I've got enough art on the walls, and you know. So anyway, she took it, and she said, I'm gonna ask this neighbor of mine if she's interested because she's always collecting artwork from, like Goodwill and places like that. And so she started talking to her about it, and she suggested that my sister do some research on it and find out if there was any value in it, since it is a signed piece and all this kind of stuff. So Jan actually found out that there was a gallery in Monroe County Community College, just south of Rochester, that was named after him. It's the Tom Mercer Gallery. And so she wrote to the gallery director and told her, she took a couple of pictures. This is one of them. And, it's like the 4 pictures here are, what she sent in the email to this gallery owner. And she wrote back very, very excited, saying that all they had of Tom's were some drawings. They didn't have any actual paintings. And so she said, we would just be absolutely delighted, if you could, box this up and send it up to us, and we will reimburse you for the postage and everything. And so, Jan sent me over the email. She, carbon copied it to me. And so that's why I have these pictures. And so I was just like floored, to find out that, Tom has a gallery named after him. And so what I'm going to do now is go through all of my black and white photography that I did back around that time and find some pictures that I took of him and, get them printed up. Because I know somebody that works in a photo shop, and I know he'll help me out with getting those printed and send those along with a copy letter, sort of, giving some provenance to the painting and the history of how it came to be painted, and a little bit about, my remembrances of him. And I have to tell you, the way I found out that he had been murdered is after I got back from my trip to Europe, like the next week I was in a laundromat and I was, doing my laundry, and there was a newspaper that was laying out, and it said that there was a memorial walk that was being, I think it had already happened, to Tom Mercer, the street artist, the street musician. So I'm like, what? I was just like so totally in shock that, I saved the article and I put it in an envelope and taped it to the back of the painting. And I wrote a letter to his dad and, sent him $20. I just, I would have given him more, but I, was kind of unemployed at the time. And so it's like, wow. So just wanted to, document this event, that I kind of have been a part of. And so that's about it.